the Minnesota Wild podcast, presented by Acrisure. Hello. It's time for Tom Reid's Hotline.
Who is this?
Text in your comments or questions to 64686.
Who's there? I'm talking. Hello.
You could win fabulous prizes, including dinner at Tom Reid's Hockey City Pub or Wild tickets to a future game.
I need you to stay where you are. Listen to me. Don't hang up.
And now, Tom Reid's Hotline.
Nikolai Ehlers and Morgan Barron combined to give the Jets a 2-0 advantage after one period of play. Wild are in trouble after 20 minutes. Welcome to Tom Reid's Hotline. Get your questions in now, 64686. Tom, we'll go right out to you and start with my question to you. We know how important this one was for the Wild and how important it is. It's tough to see them get off to a start like this. Again, some of the things that we've talked about continuing to bite them.
Well, you're right, Kevin. That penalty didn't help. Early on, the 6:51 mark, that the Jets were able to score on that one with Merrill in the penalty box, and that those hurt. I mean, it really takes. You talk about it, but you got to do the walk. You have to be able to stay out of that penalty box. Grabbing onto a stick, holding a stick. I mean, those are dumb penalties in my estimation, but. Minnesota's got to find a way. It's going to break loose at some point, Kevin. They've had chances. They had some good chances. Just haven't been able to put in. Kaprizov out there, he's playing not only a game of an offensive game, but also a physical game, too. Getting a little tired of his teammates being hit there. He just jumped right into the action there. But that's what you want from your teammates also, regardless of if you're the number one player on the team or whether the number 18 skater on the team. You want to make sure that you back each other up. So we'll see how Minnesota comes out in that second period.
All right, let's jump on some of these questions. Let's go to this one. When we talk about the depth scoring, some guys need to step up. Some guys that were prevalent early on in the season have all seemed to dry up. A guy like Ryan Hartman is a good example. That's what the 612 area code wants to talk about. How important is it for a guy like Hartman to just get one in the net and maybe hopefully break things open for him?
Yeah, when you're struggling like that, when you're not able to get the points that you're expected to get, all of a sudden you start to squeeze a little bit more and you're trying a little bit harder and you want give me the puck and I'll make it happen. And it doesn't work that way, but Hartman's had a little bit of a tough start. He's only got 4 goals, 7 points in the 28 games he played coming into this one. And last year, when you look at what he had 45 points on the year, which is pretty good in the 74 games he played. But he's got to make sure that gets that monkey off his back. And the only way he does that is by continue to work hard. But he's got to get to the net also. He's one of those guys. He's not the fastest guy on the team, but he's got a good skill once he gets the puck. But he's got to get to the net with that puck to make something happen.
Yeah, he hasn't scored since November 19th. He had 3 goals going into November 3rd. Got that other one on November 19th at St. Louis. Has not scored since. So I know I'm sure that's something that's weighing on his mind and everyone else when you talk about that depth scoring that needs to pick up.
Yeah, and it does. As a player, you're thinking, what can I do to change this? I have to do something here. I've got to help this hockey club. And so that's the mindset you have to have. But Minnesota just continues to really give the puck away at times. The face-offs, again, have been horrendous. The PK has been awful. So hopefully it's going to turn around here sooner than later. I mean, every team goes through it. But, get it over with in the beginning of the year. It's a good thing that Minnesota had a good start this year. They got a little bit of a cushion there with those points. But if they can turn this thing around, they'll be fine.
From Brian in the 612 area code, Tom, one guy that has played well this season, in his opinion, is Wild defenseman Declan Chisholm. Released by the Jets last year, Wild pick him up on waivers. What do you think the Jets didn't see that the Wild have that's worked so well for Chisholm here?
Well, maybe they just didn't feel that he was a part of the future. I mean, you have to look at it, and also a lot of times it's going to be, salary situation comes into play. Also, is he looking for a long-term contract after this year? When is his contract up? I think he goes through 24-25, which will be the end of this year. He'll be a free agent. Maybe they just couldn't afford him. But at the same time, you have to change personnel every once in a while. You can't stay pat with certain players because it's not going to change much, especially if you've got something on the in the minor systems or in your junior ranks are going to be into the fold. So you have to be able to manage all of that at the same time.
From Tommy in St. Paul. Hello, boys. How much of the Wild slump do you think is related to Eric Sinek being out? Any news on when number 14 will be back in the fold?
Absolutely none, unfortunately. You know what? That's a huge loss for Minnesota because he's one of the best defensive players in the league. Of course, when there's a team that you play against that have the big hitters, and I go to Edmonton, for example, when you got Draisaitl, you got McKinnon in Colorado. I mean, it's one of those situations you put him against key guys, and it usually works. But when you don't have him, somebody else has to step up, but they don't have the skill to do that. He's a guy that plays a 200-foot game, as I said, and one of the guys I've always said could be looked at as the top defensive player in the league.
Yeah, no doubt. No news on when he'll return, but we can tell Tommy in St. Paul and anyone else listening that, and we talked about this last night, that Eric Sinek, Trenyan, and Philip Gustafson were all on the ice yesterday in some form or fashion. Does that mean they're going to return Monday? Probably not, but I would think seeing them back out on the ice time, that at least gives a good indication. Sometime after that holiday break, we're probably going to see one or more of those guys filter their way back in.
Well, hopefully. And Middleton is the guy that I talked to him the other day, and of course he's still a little ways away. He wants to be back from the ice, and of course what a great year he's had. He's really turned his game around where he's not thinking defense, but now he's in that offensive mode too. He loves to take the puck and get in the offensive zone, got a good shot, and he's tough to play against, and he's very physical.
From the 920 area code, this is one of my favorite things about working in and around the National Hockey League. The question is, being the only sport to have the required holiday break during Christmas, how much does it mean to the players to be able to have that time with their families? To heck with the players. I think it's great for them. I think everyone associated with the National Hockey League enjoys having that 3-day window where they know they're not going to be bothered with games, practices, trades, or anything else.
Yeah, the freeze is on right now. I think it was December 20th it went into effect here, but where you can't send players up or down and you can't make any trades, which is good. At the same time, it's a great tribute. Back when I was playing also, Kevin, and I don't want to bring the past back, but we used to have to sometimes play on Christmas Day, and that's just the way it was. But the Players Association had a little more strength, and I think it's good. It's good for everybody to connect to the game too, whether you're a management side, whether you're a staff member, whether you're a player, whatever it is. So it's certainly the proper thing to do in my mind.
Could not agree more. Great minds think alike. Thomas, let's do this again in the second intermission.
All right, thank you, sir.
Tom Reid out there at Canada Life Center with part one of Tom Reid's Hotline. A couple of tickets are going to fly out the window here to a lucky texter that got their question on the air. Be looking for that text. If you don't get one, try again in the second intermission, or else you could always get on the old website and go to wild.com/hockey tickets. Find a game that interests you. Get on down to XL Energy Center and put your butt into one of those fancy seats. 2-zip, the Wild trail the Jets after one. We'll recap the first 20 minutes after a break. This is Wild Hockey presented by XL Energy.
For an extraordinary advantage in sports, you need a game plan. For an extraordinary advantage everywhere else, all you need is Acrisure. With a high-tech human approach to insurance, cybersecurity, and more, Acrisure helps you take care of what you care about. That makes winning easy. See what Acrisure's extraordinary advantage can do for you at Acrisure.com.